My next guest is Dave Wallach. He is with Duke Energy, right? Duke Energy?
Yes.
And where in the Duke Pantheon are you located?
I'm located out of the Charlotte offices.
Okay, not a bad place.
2 days a week. Otherwise, I work from home, hybrid.
Okay. I live in Atlanta. We are Southern boys, and so
Yes.
we got that there. How long have you been with Duke?
I've been with Duke for 27 years.
Okay, let's go back to your career. Where'd you go to school? Why'd you go into engineering? Why'd you go to Duke?
So I went to Penn State for engineering. I grew up in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Initially, I was thinking of maybe medicine as a career, but then I realized I wasn't that much of a people person. I liked the way equipment worked and so forth. And
It didn't talk back.
Right. And actually, it was my mother that suggested, have you considered engineering? So I did some research on it, and it seemed to be a good fit.
Okay. And who did you go to work for when you came out of college?
So I went to, it was about the time when a lot of utilities, it was around 89, when utilities were right-sizing, downsizing.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of opportunities. I interviewed with a few companies, but it seemed like they were just trying to save their interview slots at Penn State versus actually hiring people.
Okay.
But the Savannah River site in Aiken, South Carolina, was the DOE site, was hiring. They were DuPont was leaving. They had run it since forever, and Westinghouse was coming in. So I hired in with them in the site utilities department. So it's a large enough facility that they have their own transmission distribution, they have substations, also their own motor rewind shop.
It's a mini
breaker
world.
shop. Yes. So I had experiences with substation equipment and apparatus, motors, breakers, a little bit of project startup, things like that. So a lot of focus on apparatus.
Okay. And then you were poached.
And then I left there and worked for Duke Engineering and Services for a little while.
Okay.
Nuclear plant, condition-based maintenance programs. And then I came in with electric transmission in the year 2000 and been there since.
Okay. I've heard you speak, and I can't remember what event, but I've heard you speak. You're a great spokesman for the industry. I want you to give me your thoughts on a couple of things.
Okay.
Some that we've heard here at TechCon, but also because Duke was the host company last year.
Correct.
Yeah, in Charlotte. Yeah. But one of the things is we have huge labor problems, and everybody in the country does it. There isn't an industry that doesn't have it, other than maybe fast food, and now they're trying to automate it all, right? So that you go in and you give your order and the machine pushes it out.
Right.
But everybody's having the same problem. We're typically having it, I would think, more in a more difficult, because we deal with electricity. There's a safety issue that we've got that it makes it a little bit harder just to hire off the street, right?
Right.
Safety is behavioral, and it's not just something that we can say, don't touch that. Whether it's at the craft level or whether it's you've got the frost on the hair, so you got to be thinking about when you retire, who comes after you.
Right.
Talk a little bit about what Duke is doing in order to fix some of these problems that are just getting worse.
I don't know that we have a magic formula. I'm less involved or knowledgeable of, say, the craft level. But what I see in the engineering level is we've had in the past a lot of success with engineering co-op experiences where future graduates and their junior, senior years are coming into a rotation. And that's a great opportunity for them to see us, and we see them, and offer them an opportunity to join the company. And we've had good success with that. It's more difficult to hire off the street. Even if you're looking for somebody with more experience, it's very difficult. It's a tough world out there to find experienced people. And then the bigger challenge is getting people to stay.
Yeah.
Some of the younger folks coming in, they have dreams that they're going to be a vice president in a few years, and when their expectations are not met, they seem to want to go somewhere else. Or I've also heard some discussion or feedback that they don't want to specialize. They feel like if you become like maybe a transformer SME, you've pigeonholed yourself into just that's what you're going to be for life. Well, a lot of the younger mentality is they don't want to pigeonhole themselves, so they want to move around, and that's difficult to get people's experience level up to be the true subject matter experts that our industry seems to need.
Do you remember when the electrical engineering programs began to? Nobody wanted to go to work for a utility. You didn't want to go. You wanted to go into electronics. You wanted to go into all
computers.
Computers and all that. And so you could see the growth of that. I was at Georgia Tech, and we saw that in the double E department. We all of a sudden got a whole new department over here and it's the fun future kind of a thing. And we were the old state. Now you see that there is a reason that if you go in as electrical engineering, you can be the change agent or be part of change it. So we sell them on the idea of being changed. And then we say, now focus on transformers. Like, well, that's just kind of like old school. Isn't it?
Exactly.
Not a lot of change going on. That's a hard one. That's a hard one to do. So I assume you've got to have mentoring programs. You've got to have other ways that you bring up under you, because you're going to have to replace you.
Right. I don't know that we have a magic formula yet. Managers seem to have that in mind. Right now, we'll have somebody leave, and it's a challenge just to find their replacement. So I'm not sure I'm sure there's bigger picture thought about how to run that, but I'm not sure if near term you don't see it dated. It's not there.
Well, and it's also very, very hard because you can't afford to have somebody learning about something that you're working on until they're needed, right? What is the time frame? It's because
in years past we've talked about if somebody is nearing retirement, you should hire somebody to come in, for a year or 2 or 3 and let them be mentored, but the budgets don't allow for that.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem.
So you wait for somebody to leave, and it's, oh my gosh, there's no turnover. Okay, John Doe, now you're the next SME, and they're like the deer in the headlights, and no turnover, and
I was an SME on that. I'm not an SME on that.
Exactly.
Let's switch gears. Let's talk about that side. Let's talk about transformers. Transformers haven't changed all that much in years. Some of the better transformers ever made are still out there. I remember I thought Westinghouse in the 1970s made some of the best transformers, and they're still operating today. They were designed by slide rule, right? And we, like at Georgia Tech, we used a 5-line slide rule. Today, they're computer designed. We don't overbuild them. We can't afford to overbuild back to the money. People will only pay for what they want, and they'll get what they want. They're not going to get an overbuilt transformer. Some of the lead times for power transformers are as high as 60 months. How is Duke overcoming that need? Because not only do you need replacement transformers, fortunately you're in the South, you're not like in New York where you really need a lot of replacement transformers. You don't have the aging infrastructure that they have. But how are you handling that long lead times on transformers?
I think that the number one thing is just relationships. We have good relationships with suppliers, and I guess being a larger company, we get maybe a little bit higher priority than a smaller company because of volume and so forth. So we have contracts in place that help secure slotting, and then we exercise those slots. And we've had to branch out into factories that we traditionally had not done business with, just to expand the capacity available to us.
So I'm going to give you a problem that's not your problem, but what would you do if that was? So you're a small municipality. You're a steel plant that needs 2 transformers. What's happening with those guys? How do they get into the slot? Because they're not Duke. What would you recommend to them?
I don't know much about that piece of the business, but I would think if there was a way to exercise some conglomeration of that demand, not just company A, company B, but company A, B, C, D gets together and say, can we work together to be a larger player, to be visible to the transformer manufacturers, that could maybe we could work out some arrangements where we have demand and we have slots that accompany that to secure.
So this is now, people are going to hear this 2 times. It must be right. We have recommended to some, because I'm the chairman of the Safety and Reliability Association. It's a 501c6 set up for industrial and commercial practitioners primarily, and they're the ones that are having a lot of some unis, but they're the ones that are having a lot of problems. So we said, if you allow each individual plant to go and buy, how many transformers, and you're going to buy 2 to 4 a year, maybe
Right.
6. You got 32 plants. You're going to buy 100 and something, and your different divisions, different procurement things, right?
Right.
Bring it to the top and go buy 100 and something transformers, and somebody will listen to you.
Exactly.
And they may have different specs and different things.
And that
but
can be okay.
They'll listen to you, right? And so suddenly that was one company, one steel company, and guess what? It worked.
Good.
I got to tell you, giving up the authority of, well, I buy my own transformers,
Right.
but you can't buy them because nobody will ship them.
Exactly, yeah.
Crazy. We were here and we heard, I don't know, did you see the panels? One of them was on the electrification, and the other one was on physical security. You saw that?
Yes.
What were your thoughts about when you're at TechCon, because you're a TechCon fan, there's no doubt about it. What are your thoughts about the quality of the conference that TechCon puts on?
I think the conference is very agile. That it's planned from year to year, so they're picking up, trying to have the ear to the street. What are some good topics that would be relevant that people want to hear? And
Herm would love to hear that he's got ear on the street, wouldn't he?
it's like a big ship, maybe a rudder that takes a little bit more time to turn a ship. Whereas if you're a little bit smaller and agile, this is not a huge conference, but that has some of its own benefits.
Yeah.
It's a smaller ship. It can turn in the water a lot more quickly, so it can adjust to the industry more quickly than maybe some other conferences.
Yeah. My hope is it's like a gunboat, right? It can do that. My hope is that we make it 4 gunboats. It can still have that agility, but it's just more people, because the industry should hear a lot of what these professionals bring, the SMEs bring. The utilities are very open and sharing in this conference.
Right.
And I think that's unique. You're hearing from the source, and then there's people in the audience that are hearing that.
Yeah.
Then they have their own experiences, and it creates a great give and take with people.
Yeah, we don't have unlimited budgets to go to whatever number of conferences we'd like to go to, so there's some competition out there. They have to really set themselves apart to attract users.
Short of dancing horses, the way you set yourself apart is to have great content that is practically applicable for people who are professionals, because that's what bosses need to hear. Hey, I'm going to learn things that I'm going to bring back and apply. I'm not going to learn theory. This is not about the greatest standard that 16 academics, not picking on any organization, but 16 academics got together to develop the standard of the future. This is practical stuff that people are dealing with and handling today, and that's what I found from the conference. So last question for you is, what's next? What do you look at in your career, and what do you think is going to happen next? And then you're just going to ride it out the way you are, or are you looking to see, in the midst of all this change, how you can be a further change agent?
I've always been technical, and I've not wanted to move into the management, influencer side. I want to stay technical. So I think the biggest benefit I could maybe provide is those mentoring opportunities, maybe to share more and speak like I did yesterday, share experiences and help bring SMEs maybe in the industry along, as well as within our own company.
So it helps Duke, but it helps the industry, and that is what I love about our industry, is there is a real lifelong learning and lifelong sharing, and that's a great thing to end a career with, right?
Yeah, that's part of our goals internally, is if you're a higher level engineer, that you are expected to participate in the industry, not just keep your head down and take care of local business.
Excellent. Good. Dave, thank you so much. I've enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
Thank you.